For centuries, the question has been, what is the cause of disease? And you got in your hands a DVD that is talking about health reformer. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and how I became a health reformer. I actually originally come from Spain, and about 14 to 15 years ago, I came to this country of Australia. And one question came to my mind in terms of health. Basically, it started with diet. The question was, how is it that all the Spaniards love the Spanish sausage? Well, the reason is fairly clear. They grew up with the stuff. Their mothers will cook the Spanish sausages for the children, and they'll develop a taste for it. But then here in Australia, I started to think, is it healthy? Am I just liking the stuff because I grew up with it, because it's cultural, and because it's just the way it was? My mom told me so. I'm going to tell you the story of the Spanish sausages. Back in the Middle Ages, the peasants didn't have any land to actually cultivate for themselves. They were cultivating land for the owner of the castle, for the king of the region. But they could hold a pig. They could actually take care of a pig inside the little house and feed this pig with the scraps from their table. Eventually, in a day called San Martin, this pig will be killed, and then there will be meat in abundance for the family. But hold on. At that time, there was no refrigeration. There was nothing to hold that meat for a long period of time, so something needed to be developed. And what it was developed was a system of curing that meat. It's similar to what in Italy they do to the salami. Basically, I remember my grandmother just putting the meat of the pig through the intestines of a cow, clean intestines, so they will make these sausages. They will hang those sausages on a dark and moist room, and eventually, after a number of months, a bacteria will actually cook those sausages, and then they were ready to eat all year round. Friends, those sausages were actually the food of the poor. It was something to put in the stomach. The same thing that they used to do with the leg of the pig, that cured ham, that today in Spain you can pay up to more than $1,000 for it, when originally it was actually the food of the poor. When you actually move to Italy and you look at the pizza, it was nothing but a dry piece of bread, a dry piece of Parmesan cheese, or any other cheese for that matter, and a bit of tomato sauce. It was the food for the poor because there was nothing else. And eventually it has become a national icon. When you look at England and the famous shepherd's pie, you think about it. It has potato mash and different kinds of meat. The history behind it is that in times of war, and in times during war and post-war, there was nothing else to eat. So a neighbor will come with a potato, another neighbor will come with another piece of meat, and they put something together to fill the stomach up. And today has become a national dish. But is it healthy? Today, we have plenty of fruit and vegetables in the supermarket. Are we eating out of culture, or are we eating out of reason? In fact, are we eating to gain health, or are we actually being transmitted into a lifestyle that causes death? Let me start by pointing some of the people that have tried to discover the cause of disease. And the first person that we want to bring to your attention is the famous Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur is what was called the father of the germ theory. Basically speaking, the enemy was out there and was the germ, and by methods of cleanliness and antibiotics, that germ could be controlled and disease could be controlled, so people could actually live longer and not die because of germ infestation in their bodies. Another person that came into the picture roughly around that time was this gentleman called Claude Bernard. Claude Bernard had a slightly different theory, the theory of the soil, as it was known. Claude Bernard was actually saying that the problem is not the germ. The problem was that people live and eat and develop a lifestyle that causes a lot of waste in their own bodies, a lot of uncleanliness in their own bodies. Therefore, the germs have food to eat in those bodies, so they are quite welcomed by that disease or by that filthiness inside the bodies. So they will attract germs, and those germs will develop and cause disease, pain, suffering, and finally death. Okay? Now, even today, you see these two schools fighting side by side. You got the school of modern medicine that is highly developed and highly based on the theory of Pasteur. And you have the alternative, as it is known or as it's called, the alternative medicine, or what the New Age and the Eastern religions are adopting, that is more based on the concept of the uncleanliness inside causes disease. So by me keeping cleanliness inside, I will be free of disease. Now, this gentleman here is called Otto Warburg. And he actually received a Nobel Prize when he discovered in his thesis the primary cause and prevention of cancer. More and more at that time in 1931, more and more scientists were discovering that lifestyle had a particular important role in the prevention and even the cause of disease. So as I was saying before, those two schools of modern medicine and modern New Age or Eastern religion cultures, they are still fighting, each of them holding to their own views. And now I'm going to present to you what I believe is the alternative, the real alternative. And the alternative is a biblical alternative. According to the Bible, holistic hygienic practices and obedience to God's counsels are the ingredients for long and healthy lives. Think about this. Pasteur said that the germs outside are the enemy when they come inside the body. On the other hand, the soil theory says that the germs come inside the body because there is filthiness inside. The Bible teaches that it is both and none at the same time. The Bible teaches that it's cleanliness outside and cleanliness inside. In fact, statistics show that has been the hygienic practices developed in hospitals and practiced by nurses, one of the major reasons for prevention of major diseases and major problems in hospitals that antibiotics and drugs themselves. By being clean and tidy with the instruments, by being clean and tidy on the operation table, etc. Those hygienic practices, well developed already and well explained in the Bible, had more demerit. They should take more the merit of preventing diseases than anything else. Now, let me read to you this definition of what, according to the Bible, is the cause of disease. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. In case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. Unhealthful conditions should be changed, wrong habits corrected. Then nature is to be assisted in her effort to expel impurities and to reestablish right conditions in the system. Now, I don't know if you've been confronted with this quote, but most of the people are. The reason being is because they need to change something that they're doing, and we don't like to change. We are comfortable the way we are. We don't want anyone to tell us that something that we're doing is actually responsible for the disease or the health problems that we're carrying along. We like to blame it on the genes. How many here heard that? My grandmother had this, so my mom, and so myself. Let me tell you, genes pass from generation to generation, but so does lifestyle. In fact, let me read this to you. The genes load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. It is true that you have a genetical makeup that because the generation of the race is increasingly showing off their weaknesses. Let me illustrate this way. I come from a family of men that have abused alcohol severely, from my great-grandfather to my grandfather to my own father. I know that I have a weakest link in my liver. See? The genes are loading the gun. And if I take a lifestyle that is involving alcohol, that will pull the trigger. But the trigger doesn't need to be pulled in your case, neither in my case. It works on decision making. It works on standing, watching this program, or being confronted with the reality of your situation and making decisions accordingly. Now, the genes load the gun. Just imagine a chain, genetical makeup chain, and you have some weak links on that chain. If your lifestyle is according to the principles of the Bible, those links, though weak, they are not under pressure. So chances are that you won't suffer of those until you die of an old age. But if you have already weak links in your genetical makeup and you're living a lifestyle that puts pressure on that chain, guess where that chain is going to break first of all? In your weakest link. That has been passed from generation to generation. Probably, I'll tell you, probably from your third or fourth generation has been passed on to you. And that will break it. If you live in a lifestyle that is putting that genetical makeup under pressure. So as you continue along with us, we are going to explain to you the 8 biblical principles of preventive health. Because let's go to be honest here, it is much better to prevent than 1,000 kilos of drugs and other treatments. It's much easier, much healthier, much happier to prevent than to cure.